We're back here for another episode of the Blitz on the CYA Sideline Podcast. You'll notice we're still missing Mark, who's still enjoying the beautiful weather of Hawaii. That's Scott. I'm Mark. We're here to talk some football. But first of all, we're going to recap. We did a little special episode last week on the Ryder Cup, so we're going to recap that a little bit, chat there before we go into our picks for the week. So, Scotty, what are some of your thoughts on how the Ryder Cup played out?
Man, it was tough. I was cheering for the U.S., but they got their butt kicked, obviously. It was not as close as the final score showed because Europe just rolled there early. I was kind of disappointed, but I was glad on Sunday because it got the juices flowing a little bit.
Got a little energy going there.
Had a chance, and I was glad to see them get some singles wins. What were your thoughts?
I don't think the pairings were great. I really liked the foursomes on the morning rounds. It's just always a challenge because you never know what you're going to get, right? You're relying a lot on the guy hitting the drive and everything. I just don't think Keegan did a great job pairing guys that complemented each other well. He tried to keep some guys separated, and then when he started to put guys together in the afternoon, it kind of went in his favor. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on it and where you think the U.S. might have went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the big difference was, man, England made some clutch.
Europe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Europe. Sorry. Correct me. Made some clutch putts and clutch shots when it needed to happen. At one point, I saw a stat where it said the difference in putts made, and it was significant. And I don't want to repeat it because I know I'm not going to be right. But they had made a lot more length of putts than the United States team. I think they did a great job there. But in terms of your pairings, I know on social media they got a lot of Keegan got a lot of crap for the Morikawa Harris English pairing together.
And he did it twice, right?
And he did it twice. Yeah. No shot at either of them, but I know he got a lot of crap about that one.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Keegan. I know he didn't do it till the last four ball matches, but I think Scotty and Bryson might have played. I would have probably come out with both of them together to open it up. I know he put Bryson on that first hole and let them go, but I think they might have complemented each other pretty well in that foursome type match. It would have been great to see them both in that first group, just going out there and competing together and kind of get some sort of momentum and get that crowd involved. But I don't think the crowd was ever an issue. I don't think they were involved. And I mean, we heard some talk about how they were inappropriate at times, but I don't think they were ever in a situation where they could get rowdy and put pressure on the Europeans where they would buckle or anything.
Yeah, especially in the team matches. They'd come out, they own those first 6 holes, and just didn't give the crowd a chance to get too fired up early. On Sunday, they were getting fired up.
Yeah,
but
Sunday.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to watch much of Sunday, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I know during the matches I got to see, it seemed like they were a non-factor.
Right.
So,
all right. I enjoyed it. Now we got to wait 2 years for the next one.
2 years for the next one. The talk will be coming up about who the captain will be for the American team.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. So let's turn it over to our picks. Last week, we had a really big slate on top of the Ryder Cup. We had some big ranked matchups. Your Georgia Bulldogs got beat. But my Tide took that one, so lunch will taste great on you.
That's true.
So let's talk a little bit about our college locks this week. Scotty, what do you like?
Yeah, and I will say that I went big on Georgia last week, and they kind of let me down, but I kind of like the way they finished that game.
They did. It made it a lot closer than it was.
They did, and I tell you what, they should have won that game, frankly. Some bad play calling, that fumble, then they were about to score, turn it over, and I mean, I thought they had it, but I'm biased.
I think DeBoer got a little cute too. I mean, he was. They were kicking the crap out of Georgia early on, and then I think he got cute with some of the play calling as well. So I think the game could have been a lot worse for Georgia, but I like that they stayed in it and made it a competitive game. And you were right; they had a chance to win it. So it was one of the best games. I'm sure we'll see another matchup later on.
I sure hope so. Georgia's got to do well now to make it happen.
Absolutely,
you got to definitely get through some tough teams. But okay, so this week, my pick in college football. Is in the Miami Hurricanes and Florida State game.
What do you like?
Well, Florida State's getting 4.5 in this game, Zach. And at home, in-state rivalry like that, I'm going to take the points. Miami has looked good. Carson Beck looks like a Heisman candidate right now. They're well-rounded. I think they're for real. And don't get me wrong, but I think they're going to go into Florida State. They're due to have a game where they let down a little bit. The crowd's going to be going bananas. It's a night game in Tallahassee. I got to take that 4.5. I'm taking Florida State this week over Miami.
All right. I think that's a little bit of a bounce back. We all know about Florida State's debacle with UVA. and losing that one, and for Virginia being able to storm the field.
I want to say real quickly, I never want to mention Virginia's success as a Virginia Tech fan, but yes, it was a good win for UVA.
That's a big win for them. I'm not sold on Carson Beck. I know he's done well. I'm anti Carson Beck. I was when he was at Georgia. So I'm going to support this pick in FSU. I might even say FSU has enough of a bounce back that they beat Miami at home, and the ACC completely goes up in the air. And who can win that conference? So I don't hate it, but it's not my game, so I'm glad I'll support your pick, but I'll turn it over to mine. I'm going back to the well with my Alabama Tide. Vandy's coming into town. I think both offenses are high-powered. Vandy doesn't play a lot of defense. They gave up some points to Georgia State and Utah State, where they gave up 20-plus points to both of those teams. Alabama's a much better offense. Ty Simpson, as you said about Carson Beck, Ty Simpson looks like a Heisman candidate right now. He's completing almost 80% of his passes since the Florida State game. So I'm going over in the Vandy-Alabama game, over 56.5. I think it's a shootout. So
I like that pick a lot. I think Alabama's defense does not look stellar. They did get a lot of pressure on the quarterback early, but in that Georgia game, I'm not actually sold on Georgia's offense. And Georgia was able to move the ball up and down, just couldn't convert early in that game and had some turnovers. So I like that pick.
Yeah, and with Alabama getting pressure to the quarterback like they did with Georgia, Vandy's quarterback can move, right? He's also their leading rusher. So they can get pressure in the backfield, and if he's not handing it off, he's got the opportunity to just take it, tuck it, and run. So, like you said, I think the defenses aren't where they normally are, especially Alabama. So points are going to be coming in a flurry.
I like it. I like it.
All right, Scotty. So let's turn it over to the NFL. We had some okay games. I haven't liked the slate a lot. I don't know about you. Last week's slate was just okay. I know we finally both got on the win column with our locks, which is nice. Dude. So if you faded us, you were wrong this week. We had told you to fade us. You were wrong. We finally got some wins. But again, it's not a great slate right now. And a lot of teams are dealing with some injuries. We had some big-time receivers go down. It looks like Lamar Jackson's out for a couple weeks to go out past the bye. So it's a tricky slate. I'd love to hear what you've got this week.
I agree. The NFL's cool, though, is you think it's going to be a bad slate, man, but there's always good games.
They turn some good ones in.
Turn some good ones in. There's always some good games. Well, my pick for this week is the Monday night game. Kansas City at Jacksonville.
Okay, you're waiting until the end.
Yep. Kansas City, that was a statement win.
Yeah.
It was a statement win. I don't care what you say. I think they've got a lot of doubters this year. I think Patrick Mahomes, he showed up.
Absolutely.
He did great. But this week, in this game, I still think Kansas City wins this game, but I love the under in this game this week with Kansas City and Jacksonville. I think the Kansas City tends to shorten games up. They let the clock run down. They run the ball a lot. The game seems short, especially in the first half. If Kansas City's winning, they're good at controlling the clock. Jacksonville's not going to light it up on the scoreboard this week either against Kansas City. I like the under 46.5. Thoughts?
I actually like it too. I think Kansas City's defense doesn't get enough credit. Chris Jones is an anchor there, and he leads that defense pretty well. I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan. ETN has come on this year, but up until this year, they were talking about getting rid of him. He wasn't going to be a guy. They were going to waste that first-round draft pick. So I just don't think their offense is very good. And with the ability that KC has, and like you said, they just run the clock. They're not in a rush anymore. They're not trying to light you up for 35, 40 points. They're going to try to control the clock, handle the ball. So I actually do like this pick of under 46.5. So good choice here, Scotty. Hopefully we get two in a row. It's rare that we're on the same page for two games.
I know. If Mark was here, he'd be lighting us up. He wouldn't like them.
So hopefully we can get two in a row here. I'm going to go a little different route. This team knocked off the Chargers this week. We know the Giants got a big win. They went to Jackson Dart. They did lose Neighbors this week, but I think it plays even more into Scadaboo getting some more action, right? He's seen more touches as the week have gone on. He got 6 touches and 6 receptions this past week. I think he's going to get even more. It might push into that 8 to 10 range with Neighbors out. And Dart looked really good, right? He didn't light up the stat sheet with passing yards, but he was able to get out of the pocket and run. He showed some mobility. It gives him a couple options there. And I don't think the Saints are very good. Spencer Rattler is not a good quarterback. Kamara's going to get his. But the Giants defense should be able to hamper that a little bit with Kamara. And Rattler he might be seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold back in the day with the Jets. So I'm going Giants plus 1.5 on the road in New Orleans.
I see your pick, and I like Scadaboo. I mean, when we get to the fantasy portion, I think that would be a really good fantasy pick this week, and I'm sure everybody's saying that. But in this game, I can see your logic. But a team like the New York Giants, I think, is a one-trick pony. When they have a good game, it's going to be hard for them to have another good game, especially when they're on the road. I expect another low-scoring game. So I think I would lean Saints. Not a strong lean in this game, just because they're at home, getting a few points. Giants just had a big win. I agree with you. I don't think the Saints are that good. But I think Spencer Rattler might have a decent game against the Giants this week. We'll see. I'm not going hard against you, but I think I would lean Saints.
It makes sense. I think the Giants are better than they got credit for, too. I think Russell Wilson, he had the big game against the Cowboys, but I think he was hampering that offense a little bit. And I think they're a better team. Their defense showed up those first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it was. Now they've got somebody that's a little more adequate that can move the ball. He's got some athleticism. So I could see where people would say the letdown's coming. I don't think if it was anybody but the Saints, I'd probably be on the letdown, but I think the Saints are doomed this year.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
All right. Since you talked about fantasy and we're going to do our start sit 'em, I'll actually lead this one off because I'm going with my fantasy start of the week. It goes along with my lock of the week, Cam Scadaboo. Yep. I'm going to start him. I know people have been on the fence about whether we start him or not, and he's slowly making that. I think this week sets him up for a big game, especially with Neighbors out. He showed he's going to get the touches. He led the backfield with rushing attempts. He got 6 receptions. I think he's going to have a big game here for the Saints. And if my lock is true,
for the Giants,
for the Giants. Sorry, against the Saints. If my lock's going to be true, I think he's got to have a big game. So that's my start of the week. Love to hear yours.
I love that start. I have him on another fantasy team as well. He's definitely in there. I think you got to start him, good or bad. I think he's an excellent start this week. Good pick. My start of the week is Breece Hall.
I like it.
Yeah, they're playing the Cowboys this week. Cowboys had a hell of a game last week against Green Bay. I didn't make it up to the end of it. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a little too late for me. But looking back at the stat sheet, they rushed the ball a lot in that game.
They ran all over him.
And just ran. I kind of feel like Breece Hall is going to see a lot of action this week. He's going to get a lot of touches. Someone, like you're talking about Scadaboo, they're going to throw the ball to him some out wide, and they're going to run the ball as well. As long as they don't make stupid penalties. That's what the Jets keep doing. And dumb mistakes, I think they can control that game.
Absolutely.
So I like Breece Hall to have a big fantasy game this week.
And I'm going to, again, Scotty, I'm going to have to say it. I agree with you. And the reason is I saw this morning that Braylon Allen, I believe, is the backup. He's out.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Even adds to my fire.
So I like your pick even more. With Allen out, I think he had a knee injury or something he came up with in the Dolphins game. They don't have anybody else. That Breece Hall is going to be. He's going to be the 3-down back. So I love the pick against the Cowboys. So
how about your sit 'em?
My sit 'em, I have to go with A.J. Brown. My sit-em is A.J. Brown. He's had the one big game. I know there's talk about his tweet and the meaning behind it, but the Eagles didn't complete a pass in the second half this past week. I just don't think they need to throw the ball to win games. I think they're doing a little bit of the KC approach where they want to control the clock. They've got Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley that can run the ball, and then they have a plethora of weapons at the receiver and tight end. So I just don't see him making a huge jump and getting those points. I think that one game was a one-off, and I think there's going to be more bust than boom for him this year. So my sit this week is A.J. Brown.
I think that's a good sit. The Eagles have baffled me, man. They know how to win. I can tell you that. In some of these games, they've just come back against the Rams a couple weeks, and last week they didn't have their best, but they win.
Find a way to win ugly.
Yeah,
I mean, they had the
one
block
of these
punt.
games that's going to catch up to them. You know, they're not a stat machine. Hurts is having a good year, of course,
Yep.
but I think that's a good pick. So I went through all these games. I was struggling to find a sit 'em.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. All the sit-ems I had were like obvious sit-ems, and I didn't want to say sit a really good player who's just going to have a slightly down week because they're still going to score more than one of the backups.
Yep.
So I'm going a little bit off the radar here with something I saw last week. And I don't think many people start these people, but I would definitely sit them. As I would sit the Commanders defense.
All right, I'd love to hear why.
Yeah. And I'm a Commanders fan. They were picked apart last week in the passing game by
they
the
did.
Raiders. No,
The Falcons.
I'm sorry. Yes, exactly. And they're just, their pass defense is just not good. And so it's opening it up for their run. And I would not start them because I don't think they're a threat for getting turnovers either because they're playing such a soft defense. So I would sit the Commanders. I hate to say that. I hope they win this week. But I think it's going to be tough.
And I'll go along with it. I won't say I approve of the pick or disapprove of the pick, but they did get lit up by the Falcons, who got shut out by the Panthers. So the Panthers are not very good. My Patriots just put up 42 on the Panthers defense.
Yeah. And when I said Raiders, I meant the Falcons.
Yeah.
Bijan had a massive game.
Yeah, Bijan had a big game, and they couldn't stop anything. So I could see why you say it. Like you said, I don't know how many people play defenses in theirs. I've got a league where we play individual defensive players, but I could see why you would say not to play the Commanders' defense.
Yeah, and that's a boring pick, I know, folks, but just not a good fantasy defense right now.
Nope, not at all. All right, those are our picks. I think we've got a little bit of an episode before we wrap it up of Scotty. Did you make that up?
You're right. I do have something for
All
you,
right,
Zach.
what do you got for us, Scotty? What's the trivia this week?
Okay, Zach, you're a baseball guy, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, so I figured since Mark's not here, he doesn't like the baseball trivia as much, but you're a baseball coach, played a lot of baseball, so I'm going to give you one.
All right.
It's playoffs have started. Okay, there's two teams. This is a two-part answer because it's a tie. What two teams have the most series losses in the history of the MLB in the World Series?
World Series losses. So
Not games, but series losses.
Okay, so you got to be good enough to get there. Dang. Is it, I'm going to ask for a hint here.
Yeah.
Is it two American, two national, or is it one of each, or
One of each.
one American League, one National League
Yes.
team? Oh, right. I want to say, so because they've been to so many, I know they've won the most. I want to lean the Yankees, but I'm trying to think in my recollection, but they went to a lot of World Series before my time.
Both these teams have lost 14 times.
14 times. God dang.
Give me a guess.
All right. Just because they've been there so many times, I know they won 28. I'm going to say the Yankees.
Yankees are one.
Okay.
Correct.
And on the National League side, Phillies have been there a little bit back in the day. The Mets, nah. All right, I'm going to go someone because there was such a drought, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I know I'm probably wrong because they had such a drought. I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs.
That's a good guess. When I was looking this question up because I was curious, I thought for sure the Cubs would be there. And I don't know why, just
Because of the drought, right?
the drought and the history. That's not it.
I'd love to hear the National League team because I don't think I'm going
National League team is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
So I thought this Dodgers,
sense.
Yankees, huge teams,
And
that you would
long
think of winners,
history.
but they also they've had
been-
their share of defeats. So
All right.
yeah,
I wouldn't even pick that up, and I don't know why.
both with 14 series losses. Somebody's going to say I'm wrong somehow,
Yep.
but that's the trivia question.
All right, that's our episode of Did Scotty Make That Up for this week and our Sideline Blitz. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok at CYA Sideline Podcast. We'll see you next week, and we'll have our third Musketeer back in Mark Abbott. All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks.